Let me share a little bit of my background. I told Kimi I will mention a little bit because this will also be some of the reasons that helped me in being a supervisor in UTM. I received my degrees, all my degrees from this university. And for my PhD, the minimum requirement in the US at that time is 7 semesters. So I said I have to finish as early as possible. So I did not take any break and I managed to finish in 40 months. And you can see the details in my website. Yes. But let me just share this. What is actually this? I recently discovered this lens.org in which we can check where we are in the world and our research and our publication and so on. And I checked under spacing system under my name. I can see all the authors that we can collaborate with. And my name 1, 2, 3, 4 falls to the number 4 because spacing system at the first time that we started this is very, very new. In 1994 it started from my professor, and then we continue and so on. And also we check this. This is actually in the world. This is in Asia. It's number 1 in Asia actually. So these are some of the factors that can affect how we can find examiners and so on. The other part of my research is more theoretical. Splicing system has something to do with biology, DNA computation. The other one is group theory. Group theory is very, very abstract. Don't ask me what is the application. There is application, but in the beginning, when I first started group theory, it's very, very theoretical. Just theorems came up, and you can see when I just checked, I just realized this actually 2 days ago. My name falls the first one in Asia and also in Malaysia. There are not that many theories in Malaysia. And also group theory, the most active authors in the whole world. So these are those who are very active. So we need to check this. Even the student need to check this. And I can see there are not many above me. Okay. And people are also they left universities. So how to find examiners when many of them retire? Let me start with the rules and regulation of supervision. Although we have been supervising students, we might have forgotten about the rules and regulation of supervision. Let us just refresh our memory about being the supervisor, being the main supervisor or co-supervisor. There are panel of supervisors, and also we have program coordinator in the faculty. And a research student has to have a supervisor appointed by the faculty. We can also have external supervisor. Like my students, I recommend, or I normally will try and find and match them up with external from abroad. So it's good to have a panel of supervisor. And also when they're taking courses, they have the program coordinator in the faculty. And we have to know whether can the student change supervisor or we taking someone else student. Can that happen? So the university has the right to appoint or change student supervisor. So this is from the rules and regulation of supervision. And can the student change supervisors? They can request, but they have to provide acceptable reason because we as the supervisor can sign. There are some reasons or many reasons why this can change, just because the student want to change the topic or the supervisor is going to retire. And so there are many reasons, but this can happen. And the main supervisor should play, that is why it is the name is main supervisor. It should play a greater role in supervision than the co-supervisor. If the co-supervisor is the one who's doing a greater role, then the co-supervisor should be appointed as the main supervisor. And okay, the supervisor, main supervisor and chairman must be a graduate faculty who is a full-time staff of the university. And we have to know what it means by a graduate faculty. They have a PhD. And a graduate faculty who is seconded to another university or retired can only be appointed as co-supervisor. If a supervisor is a contract lecturer, a co-supervisor must be appointed. And what is actually graduate on time? Graduate on time refers to students who completed their study within normal duration. So just really specify, this is in general, GOT, what is actually normal duration? Like if in the US, the normal duration for them is 4 to 5 years. Probably in other countries, I can see that participants, they graduated from, I can see Australia, I can see New Zealand, I can see some also US, I can see UK, and others from UKM, USM, all over Malaysia. So in Malaysia, we have the next slide, what it means by GOT. So GOT UTM or GOT Myra 2 is between 42 months. And how do we actually calculate the 42 months? So it's from the time the student register until the Senate letter. So this is the 42 months. And we have also GOT MOHI or KPT, which is 48 months per year. This is the statistics of the whole UTM. I got it from SPS. And also you can see the percent of GOT for Myra 2. Okay, according to your faculty, so many coming from the Faculty of Engineering at least in the registration list, and the overall is about 19%. So how can we improve actually for this? And we have to know for master's degree, the duration of study minimum is 2 semesters and maximum is 6 semesters. So having a research student is actually a very big responsibility. We taking them, and their expectation and our expectation is not like, I take this student because I need the papers, I need to be a professor, but we're taking it with full responsibility. It's very heavy to me to have a students for 3 years to make sure they graduate and they graduate on time, and it has to come from both sides. Looking at just this postgraduate research journey, we all have been in that situation. We all have our degree already, different experience for everyone. So it can be very easy, it can be okay, but it can be very, very hard. It took us, maybe even us, we don't get to be to graduate on time. But I think it's okay as long as the student graduate, and we try our very best to make things easy for them. So every supervisor has to know that the students have to register every semester, they have to have this first assessment and so on. So just to share some factors that contribute to timely completion, right? During 10 years ago, students' qualities and personal situation, okay? For my student, I require them, there are prerequisite courses that they have to have taken during their undergraduate. They have to have taken modern algebra or abstract algebra 1 and 2 or just 1, and master's is optional. If they never take those courses, I said, you are not ready for to be my student. And I'm very particular in looking, so even before receiving any student, I need to have, like, especially if they are not our student, if they're not our UTM student, suddenly they just come, can I be your student? It's not that easy, because I have to know what is your strength. So I have to see whether your master's is related to group theory, for example. And do you have enough? Otherwise, I have to say, no, I'm sorry. Because the journey, the 3-year journey is not a short journey. Supervisory and scholarly environment, and also research facilities and resources, especially if you have to go to labs, okay? My splicing system research, some of my students have to go to the biology lab. We do get some experiment there, so it can affect that. And as I mentioned, as a supervisor, students have to know all this, but as a supervisor, you have to know, so you can actually remind your student from time to time. They have to take the research methodology course, they have to take the university subject. When I was in SPS, I had lots of experience, although I didn't do Viva, but I was there as the deputy dean. So if there's something happened during the Viva and so on, we had to go and give me lots of experience also as a supervisor. And there's one time it happened to me, my master's by research student forgot that she actually already how do you say drop the class, drop the university elective class, and she forgot, and suddenly she wanna submit the thesis. You cannot submit the thesis if you don't finish all requirement. What happened? Then she has to take the class and wait another semester. So these are the things that sometimes, even as a supervisor, they forgot, and we had to know all this. So what is for the first semester, fast track student, even second semester, they have to present, and then again the third semester, and so on. So this is actually the research planning. So even and being in UTM International taught me a lot also about the international students. I never know that about all this visa. Sometimes students say, I want to go to international, I want to renew my visa. So the visa has to be renewed every year. They have to be in good standing. Only some, when EMGS started to approve visa for the whole 3 years. Okay, so this is something that the students also have to, not like abroad. In US, you have the visa for the whole duration of your study, but in Malaysia, it's like this. So when they come to register, we have to know that first fast track is second semester, and then they have to go to first assessment. And can you imagine GOT is the time they first register until they get the Senate letter. So from here, all this until here, then that is the graduate on time, and then the convocation. So this can be hard or this can be smooth. This is the role of the supervisor. We can help with the student. Notification of thesis submission. Students are required to send this 3 months before, because it has to be approved in the department, it has to be approved in the faculty, and then the faculty will bring it to JAPSU in SPS. It has to be approved there, and then it will take time. And we can help as a supervisor to know who are there in our field. Okay, because I heard some of the supervisors, they ask the student to find the examiners. So students don't know whether these examiners has moved, or sometimes they are going to retire, and so on. So this can be also a lengthy process, and it can also be a smooth process. And also the thesis submission. How long we as the supervisor take, or can take, or should take to check the student's thesis. For myself, 1 month is, I consider it a long time for me to check. Okay, I try to finish it in 1 month, the very first whole complete draft. And then you have to plan, the student have to do, and I check at least 3 times, 3 rounds. Okay, so if I'm the co, I will ask the main to really check first, and then I will do the final round. So this is what I do. And then there's the Viva, and then the correction. So if the student said, can I finish in 36 months, or can I finish in 42 months? I said, it depends on how you prepare for your Viva. How can I say you will get a B1, you will get an A? So we can plan until thesis submission, but after Viva, all this duration, it depends on the result of the Viva. If it's only 1 month correction, and then everything is smooth. If it's 3 months or 6 months, so it will affect when the duration for graduate on time. And some of the strategies for getting the student to graduate on time is to remind the students, this is valid up to a year, so make sure that it's within the duration, not too early, not too late, and you have to schedule and plan when we are going to proofread, whether we want the student to send in only the first chapter or starting with the third chapter. And then we have the appointment as the examiners. We have to help find the right examiners for our students. And also the faculty will help us, or SPS will help us to see whether this examiner is also proposed by other faculties. For my case, normally no, because group theory is only those in group theory will find them. Okay, not that many. So I have to now go outside Malaysia to find if it's still online, then I can do that. And also the thesis submission, what they had to have for when they submit the thesis, and the process of viva, and then again the correction of the students, and they have to submit, we have to check, and then go to the sub-senate for approval, JKTS, and then senate, and finally the senate letter and graduation. So we also have to know what is the graduation requirement. So the student have to take research methodology and the university compulsory course, okay, and they have to be in good standing, and they have to pay all fees, otherwise they cannot go for viva. And my student, even when they first register, I said, you have to read this. It's in SPS website. You have even to read the thesis manual from first page to last page. And we have to know the graduation requirement. For master by research, the student has to produce at least one accepted or published publication from a journal article or conference proceeding or book chapter. And for PhD, they have to produce at least one index journal article or 2 index conference proceeding accepted or published in Scopus. All right. Okay, so what is the role of SPS and also faculty? For PhD student, the appointment of supervisor, new supervisor, we change supervisor and so on is done in SPS, the letter of appointment in the system, the appointment of the examiners and examination process, and endorsement for graduation. And also in the faculty, now they manage for masters, academic matters for the postgraduate students, and now all the defense of viva is done in the faculty for PhD and masters. Also the appointment of examiners master and viva and examination in the faculties. And also supervisors need to know the role of AMD, Academic Management Division. So sometimes students get confused. Do I go to AMD? Do I go to SPS? Do I go to faculty? And some of the factors of not GOT that I can share is sometimes students have difficulties in the methodology skills. This is where we came in as a supervisor and giving the suggestion. It's not like we have to come up with everything. Otherwise, we'll get our second, third, fourth PhD. That is what I told my student. The second factors of not GOT is a problem of isolation. And some of you asked if I can share something about how do we do this during this COVID pandemic. Students do have problem of isolation. I do get a student who suddenly just disappear. I cannot find him, I text him, I call. Turn out that he cannot stand staying alone in UTM, staying alone in the room, not meeting everyone. Although we do meet Zoom and so on. And then suddenly he went back to the hometown without telling me. And I was like really worried. So how do I find a solution for this? It's a male student, a local student. So for myself and also the other supervisor, we try to find his contact number from AIMS. So I call the second number. The first number I assume is the dad. I call the second one is the mom. And then I said, I'm looking for this student. And the mom said, he is at home. He is in his room. So I said, pass me the phone. I want to talk to him. So turns out that he cannot control. He's too scared to tell us the supervisors, but things have been solved. Okay, it's just that he needs time, and he needs people around, and this is a fast track student. It's like culture shock from being in the whole class and then be yourself doing PhD. But now it's doing okay. Some students, they have more serious commitment given to life outside the research. They are too engrossed in the activities, okay? Because research is, some students want to get away probably. So we also have to know what's going on for our students. Some of them, they're not familiar how to do this research. How do I do the methodology? Even how do I start? So especially for those, if they graduated with masters by research, probably it's much easier. But what if we have this like fast track students and so lack of understanding and high level of anxiety, and sometimes they fail to meet our expectation, and we put this very high expectation to them, and there is this large gap in between the supervisor and the student that the students are really scared to share anything, and it's like, I'm not up to my supervisor standard, so like they're going away from the supervisor and so on. Some of them, they lack of confidence, they are very fear of failure. These are good students. Fast track students are really excellent students. I've always A's in the class, and suddenly I'm here alone doing PhD by myself, and I cannot get to the expectation of my supervisor. Some of them are lack of motivation, especially in this pandemic where they don't see people, so they be with themselves. I'm just sharing first, and we'll see how do we do this. And some of them, physically, they have financial constraints. And I saw somebody was asking, like, how can we help the students get scholarship, or how can we help the student? And some of them are working, they are adult, they are working. How do we do this? And some of them, they have children that they cannot take care, and also uh, uh, for the research. And information, how do they get the right information? They cannot go to library, for example. And geographical isolation, especially now, some of them, they are not even here. Okay, we have never like met physically. Some of them have disabilities, and some of them are not well. I have a student actually co-supervising this student, and the children are not that well. Okay, one of my international students had to go back to Iran because the daughter had to go for operation. So what he did is he went back, and we got another supervisor there. I become the co. Okay, this is what we do. And another one who has children who are sick and always in the hospital, and I give her time. Okay, you can just defer for one semester and see. And so we have to have this continued communication with the students. It's not like, no, you cannot even defer. No, this has to be done, and so on. So we will give the stress to the students. Conflicting or multiple responsibilities. So once you agree, you take me as your supervisor, we have this sort of agreement that you will devote your time for your research. It's not the other way around. It's not like, why do I asking you to do your research for your PhD? I'm here as your supervisor, advising and so on. But you have to take that responsibility. Also, I know it's hard for them, especially if they have job commitments. I have one recently, a student graduated. She was our student masters of education. Maybe the secretariat can mute Hairuddin, maybe.
Okay, Prof.
Make sure you mute the participants. Sometimes we didn't realize that we are not muted. Okay, where was I? Oh, okay. I had one student who actually working full time in a college and graduated on time. I don't know how she did it with a baby, but it can be done. Amy, I'm still masih dengar suara. I think Haniza.
Okay, sekejap, Prof.
Okay. Expectation in supervision. We have supervisor expectation, we have a student expectation, and we have to know the expectation. I came across this book. So, what is the book? A handbook. A handbook of postgraduate supervision is a good book. Okay, there's a link. Actually, there is a PDF for this book in SGS UPM, and there is this questionnaire at the end. Okay, this is good to give to the student once they register. Okay, please fill this in. I want to know what is your expectation. And you have to know what is my expectation. This is like signing an MOU in between you and the supervisor. There's also an MOU at the end of the book. Sign it. This is what I expect. So the one in blue is the average marks for graduated student. I asked my student who already graduated, please fill this out. And the marks for the active students, the average is the green one. I'm not sure if you can see it clearly. Okay. Is it the supervisor's responsibility to select a research topic? Or is it the student responsibility for selecting her or his own? So it's both. Okay. If the student selected the topic, it's very hard when and two people are talking at the same time. Hear me? I think Hyrudin forgot or something is wrong with the device. Okay, so if they come with their own topic and we are not familiar with the topic, especially for my case, how can I help? We do all this computation, theoretical, and so on, and we do it together mostly. And then the supervisor should insist on regular meeting with the student, or the student should decide when she wants to meet. You see, it has to be both. So we can see that they're all like averaging in the middle. The supervisor should check regularly that the student is working consistently, or the student should not have to account for how and where they spend their time. So it's more to they said the supervisor should check them regularly. This is what they said. And the next one is the supervisor should develop an appropriate program and timetable. For the supervisor, it is your responsibility. So the supervisor should leave the development and study. The student put it near 3, meaning it has to be both. I'm not really sure how do I put this, how do I do my timetable, when do I submit, and so on. The supervisor is responsible for providing emotional support and encouragement. So students who are graduated said they actually need that more to the supervisor. And some of them said, I should have my own support network. It's not responsibility of my supervisor. The supervisor is responsible for ensuring the student is introduced to appropriate service and facilities in the university. So it's actually, you see number 4, the average marks for active student now, they said it's their responsibility. It's not actually the supervisor's responsibility to say this is the lab, this is the library, and so on. But we can assist them. If they are not here, they are online virtually, then they should get help from where they stay. The supervisor should insist on seeing all drafts. Okay, graduated students, my students, yes, the supervisor should insist on seeing the draft. This is what we have been doing. I have to look at the draft before you send each and every one of your paper. I have to even look at the paper. Students should submit draft of work only when they want constructive criticism. Even the students said, I have to show to my supervisor. And this is quite interesting. Supervisor should only accept students when they have specific knowledge of the student's chosen topic. Or the supervisor should feel free to accept students even they do not have specific knowledge. Okay? I'm not sure somebody is requesting to annotate. What is that? What is,
Dengar tak?
what is that? What happened? Can you see my slide now, or something weird is happening? Okay.
The slide is okay.
Is it okay now? Can you
Okay.
see the slide? Okay, I don't know. Okay, this is also, you can see the supervisor, just now I mentioned about accepting student, okay? We're talking about how can the student graduate on time. We're talking about how effective can we be? How can it be effective if we're not familiar with the subject? So in my case, I want the student to share with me if they're familiar with this, if they can do this, if also is it under my familiarity. This is the next one. The supervisor should take over the final writing up of the thesis if the student is having difficulty. So all the writing of the thesis should only ever be the student's own work. There are cases that the student cannot do the correction of the thesis and the supervisor take over. To me, that is not right. It should be the student's whole responsibility for the thesis. Next, a warm, friendly relationship between supervisor and student is critical for successful candidate. Yes, we have to have a warm and friendly relationship with the student. And this is what is happening in between my students and me. And if not, there will be this gap and this distance that the students cannot even share what's happening. And the last one is the supervisor responsible for decision regarding the standard of the thesis. And it should be our responsibility also. The students sometimes don't know whether this is up to the standard. So when it's viva, when the examiner said, this is not the standard of the PhD, who do you want to blame this? It's actually our responsibility to make sure of this. And sometimes it's mismatch. The supervisor expected the students to be independent, but the student cannot be independent. The candidates dependent on the supervisor. So this has to be balance, okay, this mismatch. And just to share students' common problem and how can we solve them. The time management is the one of the most important one, and to me, harmonious situation also, like I mentioned before. And this is very critical not only for the student but to ourselves. How do we have time to do this research? We sit with the student and solve the problems. In my case, how do we have time for teaching? We all have to teach. I do synchronous teaching because I don't really have the time to record video and so on. So this is what we do. I was an admin for the past like more than 10 years. So how do I manage our time as a supervisor? We have family, so we only have 24 hours a day. So how do we put time for ourselves? So the one most important thing is to have good physically healthy. If we're not healthy, we cannot do anything. Enough sleep. I sleep every day like 6-7 hours most, and have time for ourselves, leisure, ibadah. We have to exercise, everything, other activities. So how do we manage our time efficiently? Okay, not procrastinating, being punctual all the time. So this is how to manage. We only have 24 hours. So what I do is there is this also somebody put in the registration form. How do I manage? You have so many students. I actually have this Facebook, a closed Facebook, private group. I call it Prof Haniza and special people. So that my students are all in here. My staff in my office are all in here. My siblings, families, close family, because I want them to know my schedule. It has been pretty packed since the past I take as admin. So my students have to catch me if you can. And I update this schedule every Saturday or latest by Sunday. So this is my schedule, for example, for this week, the week 4 of this semester. Sunday, I have this meeting, and then I have all these meetings and so on until Thursday. And the students will see this, and then they will comment in the comment section whether they can meet or not. So one will say, can I meet you? I will give the opportunity for all of my students to have at least 1 hour to meet me. If I cannot have everyone 1 hour to meet me, then they probably come in groups. Okay. And I normally don't really have time for continuous WhatsApp and so on. So I would prefer in email, or we do have WhatsApp groups for the group of students with the co-supervisors and so on. Okay. And then once they put here, I update the schedule and then I put in the Google Calendar so that I don't forget. And one of my students is in KL because she's a lecturer there, although full-time, but she has a co-supervisor there that she can meet every day. And another one now in overseas, actually, I will share later. So this is what I do. We have schedule planning before the pandemic. We meet face to face because in my area we had to really sit, we really to write, and it's quite hard for me, especially the old people like me, to do it via online. So, and now since the pandemic, those who stay on campus, there are few of them, we still come and meet on campus. So we discuss like after they come for a slot, I will put where we will meet. So this is how we meet. And if the co-supervisor like Dr. Hazira is free and others, then we come and discuss together. Or if we cannot meet together, this is what I do online. This is when we have to work from home. I do have the whiteboard at home. It's very, very much easier and save my time to just show and go together there. For this one, two of our students have the co-supervisor in Iraq, Dr. Sanhan, and Dr. Ibrahim now is postdoc. We do a co-authoring and a co-supervision. We meet online. And also this one, Hassan, is from Afghanistan. He was here, but then when the pandemic started, he went back. But make sure that he report to me every week, and we meet when we like every 2 weeks. Sometimes when I really had to work from home and the student is outside UTM, cannot enter and so on, I discuss with them at home when it's like submitting thesis physically and so on. But make sure you follow the SOP. Okay, so sometimes it's unscheduled planning. I said, suddenly the thesis is ready. Prof, I want to pass to you. Can I come? Okay. So sometimes we just meet outside the house, and there are times that my student use like activity time. We went to play badminton, and after that, Prof, can we just discuss this? Okay. And sometimes I was on leave. I said I want to go McDonald's to eat breakfast. If you want to discuss, come and join me. So that's unscheduled. But I make sure, because I have so many students, that they present their research progress before the progress report due at the end of the semester. So I have everyone have their progress report ready and to show me, to present like 10 minutes each, even we do it during this pandemic, because it will help me and for my time, even for them to see they're doing activities they forgot to report, and they will see also the seniors doing this, the juniors will learn from the seniors. Also, when we don't have time to meet, I discuss in group WhatsApp about the research progress. So we have one group WhatsApp for all my active students. I also have one group WhatsApp for all my graduated students. And I said, please update the progress for this week. And then everyone has to update the progress in email. So I just read through email to make sure every week, every 2 weeks, everyone has to update their progress. Even no progress to me is an update. And then I have to, I want my student to update their Gantt chart. First, they have it for 3 years. And then I want it to be every semester. Show me what you will do every single week for this semester and update to me whether it's been achieved or not. Put in the technology transfer activities. Are you planning for conference proceedings, for papers, and what kind of exhibition and so on, to make sure that they fulfill the requirement. And I ask my student, make sure you download this academic calendar. You have to put all these deadlines in the Google Calendar and also invite me, so it reminded me. And and do this notification, like remind me a day before and so on. And don't wait until the last minute to send whatever your work is. And I told them, if it's the deadline is here, maybe three working days. Okay, give me time because I have lots other students and so on. So deadline is important. They had to know everything, like cost withdrawal. I said I don't want to worry about this. This is what your responsibility, and we plan for future with the Gantt chart. Every one of the student, I make sure every semester, if not every semester, every year, you have to go to this conference, one local, you have to go one in for math, you have to go one for group theory, and you have to publish. This is the minimum number, and when you're supposed to submit your notice of submission, and when you send the notice, I want to see all the table of contents. This is when they do the thesis writing. At least I mentioned earlier, the first draft, and then the second draft, and then the third draft before I allow them to send. I check for those. And then we go for Viva, and before Viva, we have mock Viva for the student. And then the student have to present to me, whether it's 20, 25 minutes, and then present to their friends, and then present to the group, and then do the correction, and then submission. Sharing just a bit tips on the publication. So they have to plan during even the first semester, they can do a review paper. Conferences a year or every semester. And is it you want to send in Scopus, or you want to send in Impact Factor, or you want it in Q? And also all the workshops that are available, you have to let me know, plan to attend. And somebody asked how we can help the students. So if I have research grants, then I can sponsor them for conferences, and some others that I can help them with. And some tips of conferences. One of the conferences that I make it compulsory for my students to go would be Symposium Kebangsaan Sains Matematik, SKSM. This is done every year under Persatuan Sains Matematik Malaysia, Malaysia Mathematical Science Society. I was the vice president for so long, then I passed to Dr. Nurhainia now. And because in this conference, not only that they can present their latest findings, they can also meet other students from in Malaysia. They can also meet other researchers, and especially the parallel session where they have pure mathematics, algebra analysis, and so on. They can meet with all those expertise in the area. They probably will be the external examiner for them. And even if it's not in the same area, learn as much as you can. So what I do is once we decide to go to a certain SKSM, we create this WhatsApp group. Like this one, you cannot really see, I think 26 in 2018. So this many students, like maybe 8, 9 of them. Most of my students so far, this is not for international students, because many in Malay also. So I said, you have Zamala, 2,000 ringgit, 2,300 ringgit. Actually, you don't need that much to survive, to pay for your fee, not for the fees, to pay for your accommodation, for food, right? It's not like you're given Zamala to buy a new car. So I said to put aside some money. So this is for your PhD. So you go to conferences. If I have the research grant, I will help them. But if not, this is your responsibility. So put the names in, and then every different conference, I will appoint one student to take care of everything. So remind everyone, like the first one is Dr. Nozi was there, Daya was there, and then Hana, and so on. So not only that, I can see whether this is updated. Have you submitted the abstract before? Is it accepted? Have you paid the fee? Have you submitted the full paper? And towards at the very end, then are all the papers published, and then we can just, I never close, but then it's done. So this is what I do. And for the harmony relationship, I never miss my students' convocation. So it's like the happiest time for them. It's the happiest time also for the supervisor. So just sharing some photos. This is before the pandemic. My hometown is Pontian, Johor. I have an orchid when I was in SPS, I brought some durians to SPS. But it's 1 hour to go back to my hometown in Pontian. So sometimes I bring my students there. Sometimes they drive themselves. During those 1 hour, we can discuss still research. Okay, sometimes we discuss during lunch, anytime that I'm free, and attending seminars and conferences together with the students give us a lot of time to also discuss, and meeting the potential examiners, meeting some of them become their co-supervisors. So if I think one brain, two brain, or more than one brain is better than just one brain. So most of my students have the external supervisors. The international students, there are times that they have to go back to Pakistan. I said, let's find someone from Pakistan that can supervise you while you were there. So when they went back like 3 months, they meet the co-supervisor, external co-supervisor there, and then come back here. We have papers and so on. Even the one from Taiba, she has the main supervisor there. But I said communication is very important. Whatever we discuss, after that, write a short report and email and CC to all. If it's lack of communication, sometimes this supervisor said something else, this co-supervisor said something else. And we have a quite active research group, applied algebra and analysis research group in the department, that we always have seminars. So we share our findings. Even before we go to any seminars, we will have a mock one. And I normally will join my students. We have, as usual, Raya celebration, not only research, but we go bowling. And I think one of the most important thing is we have to get to know our student. We have to know their family background. Financially, I said to international students when they ask whether I can be the supervisor, will you be funded? Because I don't want to think about the financial problems later. Do you have enough for the whole 3 years? I asked. If not, I'm really sorry, because I have this admin position that I probably don't have time to think anything else aside from the research. I need to know their parents' occupation. They probably can help them, or I can help them if they're like B40. The marital status is very important, especially for the female students. And I had one student, I said, will you be here? Because I would rather to see my students to see face to face, or if you can stay in JB. And she said, yeah, the husband can move here. And then I said, okay, I want to meet you and your husband. Because I need to say this in the very beginning, what is expected of the student and what is expected of me. I normally will listen and understand the students. Sometimes they don't want to share, but this is like agreement. You have to share if it will affect your study, okay? And we have to try and think them as our family. What do we expect? But sometimes what we expect do not happen. We expect them to be around. I told this to my student. You have to check your email. If you expect me to check and reply your email, do it within, if not every day, 2 days or 3 days. Try to do not mix personal problem with research. But if it's really affecting something that we can share because it affects your research. I'm not here to like your secretary or this, but I'm your supervisor that can understand if you have problems, update the research progress. If you have problems with the research, you have to keep up the good attitude. Somehow, we need some appreciation from the student. We also need to give appreciation to the student. How many times you said, wow, this is nice? Or we always said, what's wrong with you? This paper and something else, right? This is what they expect from us, to always be around. If we are busy, at least they know we are busy. They expect us to know everything. So we have to tell them that we are not here to solve 100% of their problem. If not, it's my PhD. So I said, if I cannot even help you, we can always find help from others. If this is the paper you cannot understand, we can probably contact the author. And probably the author can would really like to share. And so reply the student email. For my student, it's compulsory for them to reply each and every one of my email. Or even I say, if you receive email from SPS or faculty, why not you just reply? Thank you. It's as easy as that. Otherwise, people won't know that you receive email. And they expect us to always be ready if they need any help. And they want us to be friendlier. Okay, I didn't. So this is what's happening to me. I'm not saying that everyone has to do this, but just sharing some experience, show some appreciation. Wow, this is nice, good job. As simple as that. You see how we feel when people say that to us. Show some appreciation to them and be understanding when they have personal problems. Understand when they cannot complete the task. It's okay. Try it and let's do it in 1 or 2 days. And we need to be able to motivate the students and show we do this if we expect them to do it. And let them make decision. Sometimes we say, no, just follow me. The student have no time. So if I'm too busy, I cannot have frequent meeting with the student. What I do, if I want them to write a short report, whenever they go to workshop or whenever to go to a talk, I need to know what you know. I need to know what you do and which of the training, whatever it is that you do. So for this one, and I said, make sure you CC to all your supervisors, external supervisors, maybe your juniors or seniors or everyone else, so everyone will benefit from this. So this is, for example, a Web of Science user training, the first stop to research discovery. She went to PSI, this is the speaker. So what did she learn about this? I learned also, and I know what she knows. And another one is high publication workshop from UTM Siam. Another one is structured course. So supervisor needs to know that students need to go to the structured course. And lifestyle is also important for the student. If you expect the student to just do the research 8 hours a day, 5 hours a week, probably the brain will just explode. So I said to my students, not only you are here to have your PhD, to graduate, but you will have life after PhD. So you need to know everything that you need to know in life and learn while you are here. For example, join this Postgraduate Student Society, college activities, we have Toastmasters Club on campus that they can join and improve their communication skill, and also culture corner that we have to meet students in UTM International, be a global bodies, go abroad, go for research attachment, and also international students, they can join in activities for International Student Society. I'm just sharing some photos of my students who joined the PGSS in the faculty, the PGSS in even UTM, and when I was in SPS, I had a great time with this PGSS, with all the activities and conferences. For research attachment, for each and everyone, but not all had this opportunity, I sent them for research attachment. When I was doing my PhD, I have 5 siblings at those time, PhD siblings, so we still keep in touch. So I sent Dr. Azana, at that time, Dr. Azana and Dr. Rohaida now got scholarship from USM in UPSI, and they have this attachment program that we can send them. So they went to US. This is my PhD elder brother. And I also went with Dr. Fong back to my university, to their lab, to do more research, and she stayed for a month or 2. And Dr. No also went there and have research attachment. I sent 2 of my students to UK and another one in the US. This is just some activities for my students in Toastmasters. I can say basically that some of us are also there. We are not confident to talk. So this can help. I'm not saying that if you join Toastmasters, you are very confident, your English will like 100% improve, but they got the confidence to talk. And this is, I think, one of the, how do you manage the Viva session? It's just 20 different, but the question and answer, the confidence level, and this is just some more activities that our students can do. Probably if you are not familiar, when the pandemic is over, hopefully we can do it physically. Some tips for fast-track students, some of them ask this. They have no experience in research, they just do PSM. lack of knowledge on the research field, lack of writing skill and knowledge on publication. They have no confidence. There are so many weaknesses but they are all good students. If not, they cannot do fast track. So they have this, we call it the SWOT analysis, right? They have the strength, not only the weakness, and lots of opportunities for them. So some tips, I ask my student to attend as many master's courses. Just sit in and learn, but not just sit in, just study, try and take the homework and assignment and so on, because they probably will be. And so far, only one of my PhD students did not become a lecturer because she chose just to be at home, lecturing the kids maybe, but all of them become lecturers. So how can these fast track students, you don't take master's courses and so on? This is the way. Attend as many master's courses until the final exam, take it, attend all structured courses, attend not only structured courses, but anything that you see on campus, just attend it. Seminars, academic programs, you have to update research progress maybe more regularly than the others, and you have to try get help, mentor-mentee with the seniors and also research group members. So role of research group is also very important. In our department, we have quite a number of research groups. So as I mentioned, our research group is applied algebra and analysis. We have like 6-7 staff members in there with like 30-40 students. And we have the seminar. Okay, we have a workshop for particularly group theory. We have a mock viva every time before the viva. We make sure that the student has the confidence. This is how long that you have to present, and make sure that your students have everything they need. And as a bonus, with all these activities, with all the award, they can get the award from UTM. Just to end this, if you feel like that is the happiest moment to you, this is my viva, like 1998. There is no slide or anything. I had to write all theorems, everything on the board. This is my supervisor, Professor Luis Kappa, and the husband is also a professor in the same area. So this is the happiest moment after I finished, and they said, Dr. Sarmin, you passed your viva. And suddenly my 2 sons came in and congratulated with my husband. To my students, I always share this, always remember this. Life is not always easy. Success is not an easy thing to achieve. There is no shortcut. You need to sacrifice. As a supervisor, we also need to sacrifice, because if we calculate 24 hours, we won't have time to even probably check this page by page. But try to enjoy life while doing it while you can. Thank you.